All right. What is up, folks? I know I have a silly hat on, but you know what? It's just a little cold. And this was what was nearby. So it's going to be all right. So here reviewing Unit 5. So we have a test tomorrow that we're all super pumped about. And I will answer specific questions. I plan also to go through some Khan Academy stuff as well at some point in the stream. So yeah. Ask away. I actually need to go ahead and log into my Khan Academy because sometimes it takes me a while to find it. Yes, I can walk through some pedigrees. Definitely. Let me just see if I can find some pictures here. And yes, I will do that as well. I will definitely do that. Yeah, I can walk through some. I mean, I think if you named them, I probably could do that, like just go through and look at them. I think I could. All right, so I almost feel like I need like a test thing because I'm always afraid of like, who knows what. Copying and pasting random stuff online. So bear with me for just a moment. Perfect. All right. I said that, and now it won't paste. Okay. Sometimes OneNote is really weird. There it is. Okay. All right, so here is an example of an X-linked recessive pedigree. I have not vetted this pedigree out, and I don't understand exactly what's going on here, but we will look at it and just kind of go through it. Okay, I'll try to think about that one, that specific question. All right, so let's look at this. Just looking at it, so it's X-linked recessive. What does that mean? A couple things. First of all, it means that it is found on the X chromosome. And as soon as I see this distinction right here, right, it makes me think about, I can't highlight on this picture. As soon as I see this X-linked, it makes me think about the problem differently, right? It means that there is, that's highlighter. It means that there is, here's some markers, X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. And as far as we're talking about humans, the male is XY and the female is XX, right? Now, there is the off chance that you'll see something that's not talking about humans. And so just make sure you read the prompt correctly. Don't assume things. If it's X-linked, sometimes it'll be called X-linked. Sometimes it'll say sex-linked. If it says sex-linked, it'll say linked on the X chromosome. I have never seen a problem of something linked on the Y chromosome. And so we're going to be dealing with X chromosome. And like all pedigrees, the shaded squares show the individual that has the whatever the condition is, unnamed in this particular pedigree, and those that are unshaded do not. And for some reason, they've chosen a different shading for males and females. And so this individual is female, right, just because it's a circle. And they have the condition. And since it's an X-linked recessive pedigree, I'm going to put X's on here. Otherwise, I wouldn't. And since it's a recessive pedigree, meaning that it's tracking a recessive disorder, and this individual has the disorder, their genotype is a, right? And dad over here, or grandpa, I guess in this case, does not have the condition, and so he has the dominant allele. Why does he have the dominant allele? Because this is an X-linked recessive pedigree, and it's tracking a recessive condition. He doesn't have the condition, and so he has the dominant allele. And so this is the genotypes for this first group here. And we can know their children, right? Well, here's the daughter. This daughter only gets one X from mom, one type of X, and it's a little a, right? From mom, and dad only has one X to give. It's always going to be the same. And so this individual is big A, little a. And all of the sons are going to have the condition, right? Every single one of them. Why are they all going to have the conditions? Where do the sons get their X chromosome from? From mom. If that's confusing for you, just draw a Punnett square, and you can see it happen on the Punnett square, right? But all the sons are going to have the condition. Why? Because they get their A or their X from mom, and mom only has little a's on her X's, right? And the females are only going to be heterozygous, every one of them. Dad only has a big A, and mom only has a little a, right? And so there are only two possible genotypes in this particular family for children. And that bears itself out in their children, right? Or in their grandchildren. Dad over here does not have the disorder, so he has a capital A, right? And then you can just see it. What about this person? Can we know their genotype? Well, we know that they have one big A. What about the other A? Could it be big A or little a, right? So we don't know. We'd have to see their children. These people over here, everybody gets it because, well, everybody has it. And these folks have yet to reproduce yet, so we can't know. We can know his specifically and her specifically, but, if they had children. And so how can you know that just by looking at it? Like if I were to ask you, what is this, right? What is this pedigree? then the clues for me would be by looking at the fact that dad doesn't have the disorder, mom does, and all the sons have it, and none of the daughters do. That would be like my first tip off, right? To show that there's a normal pattern of inheritance here. And the fact that this son has it, and this mom has the allele from her mom, and there's just those patterns that you could see. It's not dominant. This individual has it. Parents don't have it, right? And so that's the steps that I would go through in order to discern that. Let's see. Let's look at this one. This is just a blank pedigree. And okay. This is just a blank pedigree. So what can we know about this one? It's not dominant. Why? Kids have it, parents don't. If the parents don't have it and it's a dominant disorder, then they would both all be littles, and then a big one shows up here. It's not works. And it's not sex-linked. How can you know? This kid has it. Dad can't possibly pass it, right? He only has a big A, but his daughter has it, and so it can't be sex-linked because the only X that he could give would be a big A because he doesn't have it. And so this has to be autosomal recessive, and the parents, I don't know how to put text in here, or I would, because it's much easier than, here we go. Parents would be big A, little a, right? And then here is little a, little a. Can we know this person? Well, we know it's big A because they don't have the disorder, right? And we can look at their children, and their children have it, and so it has to be little a. Same over here, right? And you can just kind of go through the whole thing. This person has little a, little a. That means both of these people have to pass it, but they don't have it, so they're big A, little a, right? You get the idea. That's just how. And for these guys to be big A, little a, the parents have to have at least one big A and one little a, but you maybe can't know for sure what they are because there's several options there. Actually, there's not several options. They're both this. So I guess one of them could be that. It could be that, theoretically, and still work. But I'm not going to concern myself with that sort of thing. It'll be plain, so you're not going to worry about it. But yeah, it's just kind of a logic problem. There's a couple of things you can ask yourself, and the kid has it and the parents don't. It's not dominant. If dad passed it to his daughter, but he doesn't have it, and it's then it's not sex linked, right? Because he only gives it, and so that's a couple of things that you can look at. Independent assortment segregation. Yes, I will do that. Just think about the words, right? Think about those words. Independent assortment. What does it mean to assort? It means to like sort out, right? Or to arrange or something. And the independent means by themselves. Segregation means to separate. Yeah, here we go. The law of segregation says that here's a homologous pair representing this particular allele T, And the law of segregation says that if an individual is, say, genotype big T, little t, then they have an equal chance of not inheriting, but passing on the big T or the little t. Why? Because they separate during meiosis, right? Homologous pairs separate, big T separates from little t, and so there's a 50-50 chance that they'll either give a big T or a little t. If they didn't separate, then you would never see the little t would always be masked, right? It would always be masked. But instead, you have, when you have this situation, there is a, there's a 1/4 chance that they will have a kid that's the right. How is that possible? The law of segregation. All right, and then independent assortment. Independent assortment assumes pairs, more than one pair, right? So it assumes not only AA or whatever, right? It assumes not only that, but it also assumes that. Now it could also be this, right? It could just go on and on, but there's no reason for it to. We're just going to do this. And what it is saying that A and B sort themselves independent of one another, meaning that big A and big B don't always go together, right? So let's look at this particular one. You have a big pair and you have a small pair. We'll just say, and it's actually yellow and purple. We'll say yellow and purple. And you have a blue and red representing the homologous pair, one from mom, one from mom, dad. You get the idea. One from mom, one from dad, and here's purple. Purple represents B, or yellow represents A. Homologous pairs separate from one another, right? And A went over here, or big A went over here, little a went over here. Where does big B go? Big B could go with big A, which it did in this particular picture, or it could go with little a. Why is that? Because A and B sort themselves independent of each other, meaning that big B does not follow big A around, right? See, they don't. Now, if I had C over here, C would sort itself independent of A or B. If I had D, it would sort itself independent of A, B, or C, right? And so now, this is called, this is Mendelian genetics. We learned about something where this is not always the case. What if, and so this assumes, notice, this assumes different chromosomes. Notice this is a different chromosome than this, right? It assumes different chromosomes. Is it true? Sometimes it is true, right? But not always. And so that was where we got into the concept of linked genes. What if A and B are on the same chromosome? What if big A and big B are on the same chromosome? Then they are inherited together. They are not independent of each other, right? And so we'll talk about that, I'm sure. So any questions? Let's see if I can pull up the con question that was mentioned. Male read first data for the parents. I don't know my way around con very well, so. You can't skip a question. It just says it's incorrect if you skip it. Can you go back and do it again? About to find out. Do you remember which one it's on? Like, is red male, red female? It's on Mendelian genetics, maybe. I'm just skipping them and seeing. I don't think that's any of those. So, I don't know. I'm looking for it, but I don't have a lot of information. So, I mean, they do have quizzes. It's under Mendelian. I did the practice problem, and the ones I saw for those were, I don't know, maybe I didn't read. There were pedigrees. Maybe I should have read the pedigrees. Cross one, cross two. Lord, when I click on Mendelian genetics, I get 4 questions for the quiz, and it's oh, here it is. I see it now. I see it. All right, so let's look at it together. It keeps wanting me to reach new levels. I don't want to reach new levels. I just want to be left alone. It won't leave me alone, though. Okay. Let's copy this question into OneNote and go over it. Okay. It's this one. That above represents the results of 3 crosses, different crosses, in which a single gene determines whether a certain organism is red or green. So what is that saying? It's saying that you have one gene that determines red-green, and red and green are the 2 different alleles. That's all it's saying. Which of the following best describes the mechanism of inheritance in the gene? So let's look. In cross 1, you have a male that's red and a female that is red. And the results are that 75% are red and 25% are green. And so, and it doesn't talk about the sex of the offspring. And so I would assume that if I was going to draw this, because it is, because these numbers are so varied, right? I'm going to assume that it's a sex-linked pattern. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. Let's look. I don't think it is, actually. I don't think it's sex-linked. Red. Okay, no, it's not. This is not sex-linked. This is cross 1, right? And see, this male-female stuff is mess with your head. Wait, no. I put too many big A's. This is cross 1. Right? Whereas the dominant is 75% and the recessive is 25%. So we're going to say red is dominant here and green is recessive. How can we get 50-50? 50-50. Well, we can do it this way. If green is recessive, here's the male, here's the female. 50% red, 50% green, right? And green male, green female, all little a's, 100%. So what is the pattern of inheritance? It's autosomal. Red is dominant, green is recessive. So let's see which one says that. A. The allele for green is autosomal dominant. That doesn't say that, so that's wrong. B. The allele for green is autosomal recessive allele because 3-to-1 phenotypic ratio of red to green is certain cross 1. B is the correct answer. I'm not reading C or D. Let's go back and look at that. Correct. Oh, I need to make this so you can hear the sound. Whoops, I put the wrong. It changed them out. It changed the answers on me. It's so funny. It literally has a different question this time. It's mixing the questions up. That's why it was messed up. Okay. There we go. That's pretty good, though. Okay. Hopefully that made sense to you. Me going through that. Hopefully that was helpful. All right. So I don't mind just going through more of these con questions if that's helpful to you all. I'm actually going to go to their big quiz and do that one because it's fun. I just don't know how to get back. Unit 5. Here we go. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Let's do the unit test. We're going to do the unit test for con. 10 questions, 20 minutes is what it should take us. Let's go. All right. So I'm just going to put these questions on the... Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing, Nick Bell. Glad you asked. Here are some random con questions. I'm just going to... try to figure out there. Okay, good. Here's the next question. So I pulled this off of their unit test. If for some reason people from con see this, I promote your stuff all the time. I want my students to use it because I think it's good. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Which of the following statements describes an example of phenotypic plasticity? So again, before I go to the answers, I'm going to remind myself what phenotypic plasticity is, and that has to do with a phenotype having some... so when you think of plasticity, what do you think of? Like stretchiness, right? And so it's when a phenotype has some range to it, some flexibility. Why? What causes that flexibility? Environmental conditions. So let's go find that. A sheep has long wool before being sheared or short wool afterwards. That is not it. Person develops a gene mutation. Not it, because it's not mutations, right? Lizard has green skin when raised at 20 degrees and also at 25. And so what is that showing you? That is the distractor here, right? It is trying to get you to think, oh, I remember the change in temperature. But what's the difference? There's no plasticity in the phenotype based on the environmental change. If I was taking this test, I'm going to fill in D, and I'm not even going to read it. Because if A, B, and C are wrong, D has to be correct necessarily. But let's read it. Let's go ahead and read it. A semi-aquatic plant produces large, thin, submerged leaves and thick, aerial leaves based on the environment, right? When the leaves are submerged, they are thin and big. When they are in the air, they are small and thick in order to accommodate their environments. The answer is D. We'll fill it in like some of my freshmen fill in their answer sheets. All right. Next. I wonder if I can like zoom. Yes, I can. Okay. Okay. Here's the next question. Diagram below shows non-disjunction event for a single human chromosome. I don't really have B for the freshman. I just, this is a true statement right here. This is not me making fun. I literally had to erase part of a bubble because it was so big that it was bleeding into the other bubble. And so I had to distinguish them. I had to separate them because the student failed to separate them, which is what non-disjunction is, a failure to separate. And so shows non-disjunction chromosome. If gamete 2 is fertilized, okay, gamete 2 is, okay, so hold on. We're not even going to go, we're not doing that. We're going to go up here and understand this picture. This is a single chromosome. It was a commentary. It was a commentary. All right. And so this gene fails to separate. Gamete 2 gets both. Gamete 1 gets none, right? And so which gametes are broken at this point? All of them. Because if this chromosome has a single, or if this cell has a single chromosome, and 2n equals 1, then what does n equal? No, 2n equals 1, yeah. Then, no, 2n equals 2. Then n equals 1. And this is n minus 1, and this one here is n plus 1, right? And so both of these gametes are bad. And let's go see. Gamete 2 is fertilized, how will the non-disjunction event affect the resulting embryo? That resulting embryo will have 3 chromosomes in it because 2n is supposed to equal 2, and that one will have an extra chromosome. No. And so here's a word that they're throwing at us. Monosomy just means single chromosome, right? That's what it would be if gamete 1 was fertilized. The embryo will have higher than normal levels of gene A. Correct. Because they're going to have 3 copies of it instead of just 2. I'm going with C. Not even reading D. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure somebody spent some time writing that answer. But I'm not reading it. Let's look at the next one. Which the following correctly describes how meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 differ. Okay, well, let's look. All right. So before I even go look at the answers, I'm gonna say the things in my mind. How does meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 differ? the end of meiosis 1, I have 2 haploid cells. Actually, I have to make them not do that. I've had a student turn in a test that was taken in highlighter this year. So I have to prohibit that activity. So I have a handful of pencils that I have at the beginning of every class. Do not take your test and pen. Not that that's ever happened in AP Bio. All right, which of the following correctly describes how meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 differ? Meiosis 1, you have 2 cells. They're haploid, but they're duplicated and homologous chromosomes separated in meiosis 1. Meiosis 2, you have 4 haploid cells that have half the chromosome complement and sister chromatids separated in order to cause that. Let's go find that in ABCD. Genetic materials exchanged between homologous chromatids during meiosis 2. Nope, that's not true. Cytokinesis occurs. Nope. Meiosis 2 produces diploid daughters. Nope. D, not even reading it. I'm going to put that answer, but let's read it and make sure it's correct. I just contradicted myself. Pairs of homologous chromosomes are separated in meiosis 1. Sister chromatids separated in meiosis 2. That is correct. Moving on. Oh, here's a nice pedigree problem. Let's look. Some of these you guys have seen before, I'm sure, but whatever. Hopefully this is still helpful. Okay. Cystic fibrosis, autosomal recessive, cause of mutations, CTR gene, individuals, cystic fibrosis, which the following pedigree shows the likely pattern of inheritance in a family with cystic fibrosis. Okay. It's autosomal, meaning it's not sex-linked, so stop it with your X's and Y's. And it's recessive, meaning that only recessive individuals will show it. And so what do I know then? Anything that is shaded is going to be little a, correct? The unshaded ones can be either big A, or big A, little a. Yeah, that little a is a lot bigger than that big A. Okay, so let's find out which one of these is correct. Well, this is hard. I'm anxious to see this. Let's see if this one could be true. I don't see anything. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud with my mouth open, or thinking quietly with my mouth open. I don't see anything necessarily wrong with A. If I was taking that test, though, I probably would not select A immediately because this is one of those times where you could like just skip something. Also, if you're taking the AP exam and you have 20 minutes left and you have 30 questions and you get to this one, pick a letter and go. Don't park here. It's not worth it because this is it's going to take you longer to answer this one. This one can't happen, right? This can't happen. This can't happen. No. This can't happen. A is correct. And parents that both have it can't have children that don't. You can't get dominance out of recessives, and that literally is here, here, and here. A is correct. I should have marked it when I didn't see anything wrong with it. And stop me if something doesn't make sense. All right. Okay. Following pedigree shows inheritance pattern over trait of 3 generations. Pedigree suggests that the gene for the trait is on a nuclear chromosome and not a mitochondrial chromosome, because if it was a mitochondrial chromosome, where do we get our mitochondria from? From our mothers, right? And who would have it? If mom has it, who has it? Every child has it, right? Bobby doesn't have it, and so that we'll just go look for that. Bobby doesn't have it. Female in generation 2 pass the trait to her female offspring. No. I don't think it matters. That's an interesting question. A female in generation 1 passed the trait to her male offspring. She did that too. A female in generation 1 inherited the trait from her affected father. Here it is. There it is, right? Because if it is mitochondria, it only comes from the mother, and this isn't, because she got it from her father. C is the correct answer. Took me a minute to figure out how they were asking that question. Okay, this is the one we answered earlier concerning the 3 crosses, and so I'm going to go ahead and mark that one. Good stuff here. The following describes how mitosis and meiosis are different. Number of chromosomes. All right, how do I know they're different? Mitosis makes an exact copy. Meiosis makes 4 genetically different haploid cells. So mitosis makes a genetically similar or identical diploid cell. Nope. Mitosis produces genetically identical daughter cells, while meiosis genetically unique daughter cells. B is the correct answer. Not reading C or D. I'm sure they're great answers. Okay. Here's another pedigree. Okay. I'll draw a line so we know where the line is between the questions. There it is. All right. Hemophilia is an X-linked recessive disorder that causes problems with the clotting process. Hemophilia is causing. Okay. Which the following is the genotype of the circled individual? All right. This is great. This is not hard, right? We know this. So where do daughters get their? So first of all, this is sex-linked, and so the genotypes are all going to have. They're all going to look like this, right? And okay, we can eliminate A automatically because this is female, and so it's not XY. That's funny. We know that one of their alleles is little, right? Because mom has it, and we know that the other one has to be dominant. So we're going to go find heterozygous. C is the correct answer. Ooh, this one's a lot of words. I like the ones with words. Nemoria arizonaria, species of moth, lives in the southwestern United States. Okay, look what I just saw. As I'm reading this, different phenotype depending on season. What's immediately ringing in my brain is phenotypic plasticity, right? Caterpillars born spring, yellow, oak catkins. That's my word of the day, oak catkins. Caterpillars born in the summer develop. Okay. Which of the following experiments would prove or provide the most direct evidence to support the researcher's claim? All right, so these are interesting questions, and they are common on the exam. Phenotypes. Okay, so understand this claim. What is this claim? This claim is putting forth that the phenotype. It's basically claiming that phenotypic plasticity is the cause of the changes, right? And so, which experiment then is going to support the claim of phenotypic plasticity? Diet would be an environmental factor rather than inherited difference. Okay, this first one's about temperature. It's not even talking about the same thing. Crossing two moths that had different caterpillar phenotypes, calculating the ratio of catkin to twig phenotypes in this. We're gonna sit on B. I just don't. We're gonna sit on B. What's up, man? How are you? Let's see. And raising caterpillars the same genotype under controlled conditions that differ only. I like C because it is making food the variable, right? Determining sequence of genes involved, comparing them. So D is not good. B is the distractor. C is the correct answer. I actually do remember having the conversation with you. That's awesome. Glad you showed up, man. Thanks for coming. I'm actually helping my current batch of students with their Unit 5 stuff. Man, awesome. That is a cool story. I am glad to hear that. I hate that more of your classmates did not pass it. That's too bad. C was the correct answer. That's a hard question, by the way. You do have to kind of walk through that and think through that one logically. I think I answered this one for somebody in class today, but let's go over it. We typically have a good pass rate at our high school. I only have I have 30 plus students this year, and I think they're all going to pass. So let's look at this question. The following diagram depicts two diploid cells, one from a male and one from a female. Same species, two homologous pairs. Okay, so before I even go down here and look at these answers, I am going to, the genotype of the male is this, right? And the genotype of the female is this, right? Okay. If the male and female mate, which of the following would be true about their offspring? All right. This is going to be an interesting one. I remember answering this one earlier. So let's just evaluate each statement, right? Because we're looking for a true statement. And as soon as we find one, we're done. None of the offspring will have the genotype of the parent. All right, so how do you know? Well, this offspring or this parent can only make 2 gametes. The male can only make this gamete or this gamete, right? And over here, they can only make this and this. So none of the offspring will have the same as the parents. So if these 2 happen to fertilize, well, let's say these 2. If these 2 happen to fertilize, right, then that is going to match the parent's offspring. And that is wrong. Roughly half of the offspring will have the genotype of the female parent. Okay, so we can evaluate that. What is the genotype of the female parent? Big G, little f, little f. What is going to be the probability of big G, little g? It is going to be 50%, right? Because this, we could just do a Punnett square. This over here is big G, little g. This is little g. So big G, little g is 50%. And what is the chance of little f, little f? It is going to be also 50%, right? Because big F, little f is going to mix with little f, little f. And so that is going to be the case, roughly half. Actually, no, because that's 1/2 times 1/2, and that would be 1/4. No. All the offspring will have a non-parental genotype. We've already proved that one wrong. Nope. And then, so D has to be the correct answer, but let's look at it. Roughly half of the offspring will have a non-parental genotype. We have seen, so if this fertilizes, there are 4 possibilities here, right? If this fertilizes, is that a parental genotype? It's not. If this fertilizes, is that a parental genotype? It is. If this fertilizes, is that a parental genotype? It's not. And if this one, it is. So 2 out of 4, D is the correct answer. I earned bells. And I earned some bells, and it wants me to sign up to record my progress. Well, that is the end of the quiz. I'm going to show my summary. And I got some confetti right then. I did good. Apparently there's leveling up in this. You just sit here and grind con. Level 7. Hopefully I'll be level 8 before the end of the night. All right. Do you guys have any more questions? Specific? Anything else? I will be in my classroom tomorrow at around 7:30, like I always am, maybe even a little before. And so you are, of course, welcome to come in and ask questions, receive help. Question 2 on the last FRQ. I don't know if I have access to the last FRQ here, and I actually cannot show that on because they will not allow that. So if you come in the morning, I will be there and I will go over that question with you. But I can't show College Board stuff online. Well, I will say this: it's probably a good idea to bring your calculator to the test. Just saying that. If you have to do tasks where you will want a calculator. So, and I've only got like 4, and I found them in people's lockers 10 years ago. So that is my current setup of calculators. So you may want to bring your own or bum off another teacher who has nice ones. No, it's math. It's subtracting and then multiplying and then dividing and then adding and then comparing two numbers and then making a decision about that and then possibly offering an alternative hypothesis. No, I mean, look, this is kind of math-ish. So, well, it's not hard. You can come in the morning and I will go over one with you, and you're going to be just fine. You will have access, of course, to the formula sheet. I think y'all are going to be fine. I really do. Test averages were pretty good on this test last year, and actually I can look real quick. I think if you want to hear that, let's see what they were. I know they cried a bunch about Unit 5, but okay. So here's the news. The test average for last year for Unit 5 was an 88.57. There were several 100s and lots of 90s. Some low grades, but they don't count. So you guys are going to be fine. The FRQ is super simple, and it's not bad. There was actually a perfect score on this one last year. So, and there was a couple that were almost perfect. So it's doable. All right, well, I'm getting sleepy, and y'all need to rest, and so I will see you first thing in the morning. If you have questions, again, come on in, and I'll go over FRQs or whatever you want to, or walk through a chi-square with you, or, whatever you need. All right. See you guys in